Good morning. Ribhu Gita, chapter 41. Nidaga's narration about becoming the Brahman, of truth, knowledge, bliss, infinite. Dus Nidaga's narration about becoming the Brahman, of truth, knowledge, bliss, infinite. Number 1. Master, in delusionless joy, I shall say more about the experience of the undivided Absolute. With the untainted understanding I have decisively attained. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the One, without any conditioning of attachment, such as thought, without any of the conditionings of division, such as Maya, illusion, without the duality of the world, the individual, and the Supreme. Number 2. I indeed have become Brahman, all existence. I indeed have become Brahman, all consciousness. I indeed have become Brahman, all goodness. I indeed have become Brahman, all that is. I indeed have become Brahman, the blemishless. I indeed have become Brahman, the attributeless. I indeed have become Brahman, the non-dual. I indeed have become the undivided Supreme Brahman. 3. I indeed have become Brahman, that which alone is Kevala. I indeed have become Brahman, that which alone is Kevala. I indeed have become Brahman, the majestic. I indeed have become Brahman, the sacred. I indeed have become Brahman, the immaculate. I indeed have become Brahman, the unblemished. I indeed have become Brahman, the highest. I indeed have become Brahman, the desireless. I indeed have become the undivided Supreme Brahman. I indeed have become Brahman, the truth. Verse 4. I indeed have become Brahman, the motionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the eternal. I indeed have become Brahman, the partless. I indeed have become Brahman, the pure. I indeed have become Brahman, the mass of bliss. I indeed have become Brahman, the unsurpassed. I indeed have become the undivided Supreme Brahman. Verse 5. I indeed have become Brahman, the unmodified. I indeed have become Brahman, the blemishless. I indeed have become Brahman, the attributeless. I indeed have become Brahman, the pervasive. I indeed have become Brahman, the indestructible. I indeed have become Brahman, the universal. I indeed have become Brahman, which is without a superimposition. I indeed have become the immaculate Supreme Brahman. Verse 6. I indeed have become Brahman, the afflictionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the limbless. I indeed have become Brahman, the veilless. I indeed have become Brahman, the actionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the spotless. I indeed have become Brahman, the motionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the incomparable. I indeed have become the peerless, Supreme Brahman. 7. I indeed have become Brahman, which is without thought. I indeed have become Brahman, the mass of consciousness. I indeed have become Brahman, the unattached. I indeed have become Brahman, the faultless. I indeed have become Brahman, the bondageless. I indeed have become Brahman, the defectless. I indeed have become Brahman, the endless. I indeed have become the undivided Supreme Brahman. 8. I indeed have become Brahman, the primeval. I indeed have become Brahman, the perfect fullness. I indeed have become Brahman, the unaging. I indeed have become Brahman, the mass of existence. I indeed have become Brahman, the afflictionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the attachmentless. I indeed have become Brahman, the ancient. And I indeed have become the peaceful, supreme Brahman. 9. I indeed have become Brahman, the goal. I indeed have become Brahman, the dissolutionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the imperishable. I indeed have become Brahman, the destructionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the nature of consciousness. I indeed have become Brahman, closed in consciousness. I indeed have become Brahman, the manifold. I indeed have become the bodiless Supreme Brahman. 10. I indeed have become Brahman, the connectionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the revelation of truth. I indeed have become Brahman, the indivisible. I indeed have become Brahman, the Supreme Shiva. I indeed have become Brahman, the lofty. I indeed have become Brahman, the non-dual. I indeed have become Brahman, the omnipresent. I indeed have become the one Supreme Brahman. 11. I indeed have become Brahman, the originless. I indeed have become Brahman, the indescribable. I indeed have become Brahman, the timeless. I indeed have become Brahman, the boundaryless. I indeed have become Brahman, the bhava-less, the attitudeless or the convictionless. I indeed have become Brahman, the defectless. I indeed have become Brahman, the worldless. I indeed have become Brahman, the knowledgeless. I indeed have become the undivided Supreme Brahman. I indeed have become Brahman, the incorporeal. I indeed have become Brahman, the manifest. I indeed have become Brahman, the experienceless. I indeed have become Brahman, the undecaying. I indeed have become Brahman, the thirstless or desireless. I indeed have become Brahman, the peaceful. I indeed have become Brahman, the sorrowless. I indeed have become the pure, supreme Brahman. 13. I indeed have become the substratum of all. I indeed have become the superimposition of all. I indeed have become the pantat of deities like Brahma and others. I indeed have become the actions of them all. I indeed have become the gods, the humans, and the animals. I indeed have become the mountains. I indeed have become all that is moving and that is unmoving. I indeed have become the undivided Absolute. 14. I indeed have become delusion, Mahat, the cosmic intellect, and such. I indeed have become the Lord, Ishvara. I indeed have become ignorance, I, and such. I indeed have become the multiplicity of beings. I indeed have become the insentient component, tamas, or torpor. I indeed have become all the wearisome world. I indeed have become all that is sentient. And I indeed have become the undivided absolute. 15. I indeed have become Brahma and Vishnu. I indeed have become Hara and Maheshvara. I indeed have become the nature of Sadashiva. I indeed have become Shiva himself too. I indeed have become Uma Devi. I indeed have become Skanda and Vinayaka. I indeed have become the retinue of the Supreme Shiva. And I indeed have become all the circle of devotees. 16. I indeed have become the gods, the demons, and all. I indeed have become the chief of gods, Indra. I indeed have become the deities of the directions. I indeed have become the assembly of sages. I indeed have become the Rakshasas and their Yakshas, which is the demons or the demigods. I indeed have become the diverse divisions of gods. I indeed have become all the celestials. I indeed have become all the terrestrials. 17. I indeed have become all beings. I indeed have become all the worlds. I indeed have become all the achievements. I indeed have become all the histories. I indeed have become all the Vedas. I indeed have become Brahma and all others. I indeed have become all the differences. I indeed have become all that is differentiated. 18. I indeed have become all the senses. I indeed have become all the oceans. I indeed have become all the running rivers. I indeed have become all the forests and the mountains. I indeed have become all that is contained in them. I indeed have become all the land and all the waters. I indeed have become all the fire and the wind. I indeed have become all the sky. I have indeed become the Creator and all others. 19. I have indeed become the body and senses and all. I have indeed become the hearts of all living beings. I have indeed become all the mind and ideas. I have indeed become all the delusion and thoughts. I have indeed become all the ego. I have indeed become all the veilings. I have indeed become all the perplexing projections of the mind. I have indeed become all the revelations. 20. I indeed have become the fourfold body. I indeed have become the wakefulness and other states. I indeed have become the pentad of sheets. I indeed have become their experiences. I indeed have become the collection of what is separate. I indeed have become the cosmic. I indeed have become all that is sentient. I indeed have become all that is insentient. 21. It is I, indeed, who have become the elements and that which is composed of the elements. It is I, indeed, who have become all the objects of the world. It is I, indeed, who have become all the different worlds. It is I indeed who have become all the millions of galaxies. It is I indeed who have become every manifest object. It is I indeed who have become the world, the individuals, and the supreme. It is I indeed who have become the several conditionings that are postulated. It is I indeed who have become now the unconditioned truth. 23. What avails explanation in various ways? It is I indeed who have become all that appears as separate in the phenomenal world. It is I indeed who have become the Absolute, just that, standing alone. Divorced from any of the dignified philosophical dissertations. What shall I say of the undiminishing greatness of myself? Rid of all the defects of I, and established as the undivided Supreme Brahman, Lord, is not all this power of your compassion? Is not all this deep power of your compassion? 23. I have become Brahman, truth, knowledge, bliss. I have become Brahman, established as the motionless. I have become Brahman, the complete, whole, and perfectly full. I have become Brahman, the eternal knowledge bliss. I have become Brahman, the pure expanse of consciousness. I have become Brahman, with not a word to describe it. I have become the non-dual, undivided Supreme Brahman. Revered One, how great is your grace, how great. 34. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the peaceful, devoid of all. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the self of all. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the defectless and blemishless. I have become the Supreme Brahman, which is all pervasive. I have become the spotless Supreme Brahman of the fourth state. I have become the Supreme Brahman, transcending the fourth state. I have become the undivided Supreme Brahman, the faultless. Revered One, how great is your grace, how great. 25. I have become Brahman without any form. I have become Brahman which abides as the One. I have become Brahman which is invisible. I have become Brahman which is unwavering. I have become Brahman which is immanent as the Immaculate. I have become Brahman which stands as the stainless. I have become the Supreme Brahman which is one and non-dual. Lord, how great is your grace, how great. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the ever-enlightened. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the eternally pure. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the ever-liberated. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the ever-steady. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the non-dual. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the formless. I have become the Supreme Brahman, the non-dual. Lord, how great is your grace, how great. 27. I have become of the nature devoid of the triad of forms. I have become of the nature of the Supreme, which is all awareness. I have become of the nature that has no triad of states. I have become of the Supreme nature, which is vast as the sky. I have become of the nature that has no sixfold modifications. I have become of the Supreme nature which exists as the One. I have become of the nature of the perfectly full Supreme. How great is your grace, how great. 28. My Guru, as exhorted by you, by always practicing constantly the faultless, undivided, supreme certitude that I am Brahman, Brahman is myself, and I am all, and rid of the misconceptions that constitute bondage, and attaining the defectless, supreme Brahman bliss. I exist as the nature that is totally immaculate. What shall I say of the immensity of your grace? 29. I've been describing the undivided supreme certitude in the manner that I have obtained it. Whoever grasps this steadfast certitude will attain bliss. In addition, whoever listens to this daily will become of the nature of the Supreme and be rid of all attachments. All that is said here is the truth. Saying thus, Nidaga abided in the bliss of the nature of the pure Absolute. 30. Only those who listen to the meaning of the great aphorisms taught by the guide in his compassion and further faultlessly reflect on them and enter into one-pointed, profound meditation thereon, are delusionless and realize for all time that we are the blemishless, undivided Absolute. They will be liberated from the misery of worldly existence. Thus Skanda expounded to Jagishwarya. In like manner, Sutta proclaimed this. 31. It is the infinite form of our God of Gods in a state of joyous dance that declares the unparalleled experience of Nidaga in the presence of the spiritual master, that all the appearances of the mobile and the immobile are only I and nothing apart, and the I that is the entirety, complete and all-pervasive, is the partless Absolute alone. That's the conclusion of chapter 41, and I'm continuing with chapter 42. Nidaga's description of the greatness of the treatise, of the teacher, and of the grace of Shiva that bestows the knowledge. 1. Sage Nidaga joyously continued thus. Taintless Guru, in great compassion, Maheshvara expounded this extremely secret treatise to you. In indescribable compassion, you, the reservoir of sympathy, explained this to me. I have gathered this into my heart as taught by you. My guide, number 2. By listening attentively to just one chapter of this treatise, I have attained the undivided supreme Shiva knowledge, the sun that dispels and fully clears the mass of darkness, Maya, that mystifies the mind. Maya, that mystifies the mind. Lord, even by listening to one stanza of this, the bliss of liberation without a second can be attained. 3. One who has listened to and understood even one verse of this will obtain liberation, which is non-dual. This is indeed the truth. If one understands the meaning of this poem, that all is Brahman ever, and we are that, there is no need to inquire unnecessarily into a plethora of texts. Plethora of texts. The knowledge of the undivided Absolute can be attained by just one stanza of this wonderful work. 4. Only the excellent Guru, who naturally gives instructions in this treatise in this manner, is the real guru? What's the use of the weird teachers who give instruction in multifarious treatises in diverse ways? He who gives instruction in this treatise on a lofty plane is indeed the Supreme Brahman, which is knowledge and awareness. This is the truth. There's not the least doubt about this. In the name of the feet of Shiva, there is no doubt of this. 5. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is verily the incomparable Shiva. There is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is verily the incomparable Devi. There is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is verily Vinakaya. There is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is the shining Shanmukha. There is no doubt of this. 6. Whoever graciously expounds this is Nandikeshvara. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is Dattatreya. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is Dakshinamurti. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is the undivided Supreme Shiva. There is no doubt of this. 7. What avails such verbiage? He who expounds this treatise without any uncertainties is indeed the Supreme Shiva, foremost among men. But for you, not one is competent in all the worlds, among gods and sages, to easily expound the meaning of this treatise in this manner. There's not an atom of doubt about this. True it is. I would say this touching the feet of Shiva. 8. As the Guru who graciously teaches this treatise is indeed the Supreme Shiva, the disciple who has received such teaching without reservations should never do any disservice to that excellent Guru. By any of the triad of means. To the extent of his capacity, he should worship him with wealth and other means. Is there any real relative apart from the defectless Guru? 9. The father and the other relatives cannot remove the originless bondage of worldly existence, simply because they give one only an endless succession of bodies. If inquired into with deep thought, all such relatives are only enervating enemies. The Guru, the embodiment of endless grace, will, on the other hand, graciously confer the undivided supreme knowledge and save one, scouring out the attachments that are the originless bondage of worldly existence, until one is spotless. 10. Supreme Guru. Even if the Supreme Shiva, the Supreme Lord Ishvara, is the Supreme Guru, if the blemishless Supreme Shiva at some time becomes angry, the peerless treasure of compassion, the Guru, will save one. If the Guru, the embodiment of grace, becomes angry any day, none saves that disciple in all the three worlds, or clears up his confusion. 11. Therefore, it is only those who have fathomless faith towards the Guru, towards the treatise, and towards the Lord of all the world, the Supreme Lord Ishvara, that are fit to practice the tenets of this treatise. Others who are faithless fools will never be competent to beneficially comprehend even a stanza of this treatise. Truth this is, there's not an atom of doubt about what has been said. 12. To attain the knowledge of identity of the individual and the Supreme, nothing else can be the cause except faith. Have not the Vedas declared that it is only by sincere faith, suffused with earnestness, that the wordless supreme knowledge can be obtained, the knowledge that all is non-existent, that only the undivided supreme Brahman by itself is what exists, and that you are, and that we are, and that by nothing else can the undivided knowledge be reached. 13. Only those who have clung to the compassionate Supreme Shiva will understand the extensive meaning of this treatise. Those ignorants who have not gained the rare compassion of Shiva will never understand the rare meaning of this. Does not the crest of the Vedas proclaim that only those who have divested themselves of all and who by constant contemplation of the Supreme Shiva have gained his compassion can merge themselves in the undivided knowledge? 14. Therefore only those who have clung to the compassionate Shiva, by meditation upon the undivided supreme nature of Shiva, rejecting all in all sincerity, as set out in this treatise, shall acquire the imperishable meaning of this treatise, the undivided supreme knowledge without a second. There is no knowledge that can compare with the knowledge of the meaning that has been conveyed in this treatise. 15. In all the varieties of epics and mythical lore, there is no easy knowledge to compare with the blemishless knowledge of this treatise, directly expounded personally by the omniscient crushed jewel, the Supreme Lord. As the beneficent essence of the conclusions of all the Vedas, without any mixture of the multitude of yogas, samkhyas, enumerations or discriminative knowledges, and differing meditations. 16. The subtle, undivided Supreme Shiva knowledge, clearly expounded in this treatise, will easily be the result by an appropriate conviction, bhava, practiced in devotion. This knowledge is easy to attain, because there is no strain in the non-dual conviction, bhava, that all the appearances arising in thought are Shiva, all consciousness, and that we are. 17. In this manner, the knowledge attained by this treatise will destroy all this duality. The knowledge that is revealed by this divine treatise will destroy all existence and non-existence. The knowledge nurtured by this excellent treatise will efface all the world, individuals, and the Supreme. The knowledge gained in such manner by this treatise will confer undivided, supreme bliss. The knowledge of this treatise, as explained, will arise in one who without a day's exception betakes himself to blemishless devotion to the Sadguru, akin to the devotion to the Supreme Shiva. The knowledge of this treatise, coursing through the mind, will immediately cure all great sorrows. What avails endless repetition? The knowledge is the one which confers the undivided supreme liberation. 19. If the disciple who devotedly listens to this blemishless treatise in the presence of the Guru does not perform faultless worship of the revered Guru with all his resources, that blameworthy disciple will enter for 100 births into the wombs of dogs. Besides, he will suffer 1,000,000 births as an outcast, which is beneath all castes. Yes. 20. If the disciple who listens joyously to the sad treatise in the presence of the Guru decries the blameless worthy Guru, he will be consigned to be bound in hell for numberless births. One who does not look upon his Guru as the Supreme Shiva, after listening to this immortal treatise, will with accumulated sin be born as a boar, birth after birth, and be banished to hell to bide time there. Whoever is 21. Whoever is vainly envious of the teacher of this rare treatise, instead of pleasing him, will for eons wriggle as a worm in feces. The teacher who expounds this rare treatise is indeed the undivided Supreme Brahman. What shall we say of the egregious sin of one who is vainly envious of him? 23. 22. Excuse me. What avails limitless repetition? Only for those who are devoted day after day to the Guru and the Supreme Ishvara, the Lord of all the world, will the knowledge of this treatise arise with certitude. By the knowledge manifesting in the mind itself, the magnificent bliss of liberation can be embraced. Those who listen to this with deep sincerity and profound faith will have all their blemish removed and become the Supreme Brahman. 23. Those who pursue with one pointed attention this treatise expounded by the omniscient Supreme Shiva will not have any attraction for any other treatise. What is the advantage of an array of words? Even if all the husk in the world be pounded hard, will it yield a single grain of rice? Likewise, even if all the works are gone through, the knowledge of the undivided Supreme Shiva would nowhere be in sight. 24. Therefore, only for those who abstain from any treatises and practice the tenets of this treatise does the differenceless, undivided supreme knowledge result, and the undifferentiated state of liberation quickly ensue. There is not the least trace of doubt of this. This is indeed the direct experience I have had. How great is this treatise? How great is the guide whose grace confers this? 25. Does this sage Nidaga, on the strength of his unparalleled personal experience, and by the divine Guru's greatness, describe the glory of this treatise in delectable fashion in the presence of the Guru, and abide in the bliss of the identiless nature? Thus Skanda graciously expounded this to Jaigishwarya. So said Sutta to all those assembled. 26. It is the infinite form of our Immaculate Lord in peerless joyous dance that says, the guide who explained the superiority of this treatise pointed out that other works do not possess the greatness of this treatise. To sage Nidaga, devoid of I-ness, strengthened by the experience of the great undivided state. And this is the end of chapter 42 of the Ribhu Gita. Have a wonderful day. Bye.